which teams reached way too far for certain players, and which ones should go down as big-time steals.
I had a big grade on Cashius Howell. I really liked it. I'm sitting here looking at my grade. I got a pretty big first-round grade.
With the 2026 NFL Draft now officially in the books, here are the 6 absolute worst value picks from the 2026 NFL Draft and the 6 greatest. Worst value pick, Caleb Banks. Most expected Banks' draft stock to fall after he suffered a broken bone in his left foot at the NFL Scouting Combine, but the Minnesota Vikings weren't deterred in the slightest, using the number 18 pick on the defensive tackle. The Vikings needed help at DT after releasing veteran stalwarts Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargrave in cap-saving moves. Still, this is a classic case of they could have just traded down and still gotten their man later.
The Minnesota Vikings select Caleb Banks. Wow. Defensive end, Florida.
All right, I'll give you the floor on the wow. Yeah, he's my 51st player.
Minnesota could have accumulated extra draft picks to move down a few spots and still snagged Banks later. Greatest value pick, Caleb Downs. Like Baltimore Ravens star Kyle Hamilton back at the 2022 NFL Draft, Downs was a consensus top 5 prospect in this class. It's just that teams rarely value the safety position enough to draft one so early. Not that Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys are complaining though. They traded up one spot via the Miami Dolphins to select Caleb Downs with the number 11 pick. You know, for all the heat that Jerry Jones gets as the Cowboys GM, most of it justified, how about getting a top 5 prospect outside the top 10? Worst value pick, Ty Simpson. Look, we don't hate the idea of the Los Angeles Rams finding Matthew Stafford's successor in the early rounds of the draft. They addressed their last main weakness at corner by trading for ex-Kansas City Chiefs star Trent McDuffie and signing Jalen Watson. But taking Simpson at number 13 overall? What universe are the Rams living in here? Los Angeles could have easily traded down and nabbed Simpson later. Unless the New York Jets wanted him at number 16, they could have moved down at least 5 more spots to eventually select him. Or better yet, the Rams could have drafted a better prospect at number 13 and waited until day 2 to get a QB. There's a good probability that Matthew Stafford plays at least 2 more years, perhaps even more. Maybe Simpson will prove to be the ideal succession plan to Stafford, but this is way too early to take a QB with a limited ceiling. No wonder Sean McVay seemed so angry when the Rams picked Simpson. Greatest value pick? Makai Lemon. As most expected, Carnell Tate and Jordan Tyson were the first 2 receivers taken off the board. Still, Lemon was widely projected to be like a top 15 pick. And yet, you all know how this turned out. Pittsburgh Steelers GM Omar Khan got on the phone with Lemon, believing that they were about to snag the USC wide receiver with the number 21 pick. But in a big-time stunner, the Philadelphia Eagles moved up into the number 20 spot via the Dallas Cowboys to take Lemon. As they say, when life gives you lemons. So, assuming A.J. Brown is really done in Philadelphia, the Eagles just got their succession plan with a late first-round pick. Once again, Howie Roseman got excellent value on day 1 of the draft. When are all these other teams gonna learn their lesson? Worst value pick, Max Iheanachor. If it weren't maddening enough for the Steelers to watch their interstate rivals jump ahead to take Makai Lemon, they added more insult to injury by reaching big time for the Arizona State offensive tackle. For starters, we're not sure why the Steelers went with offensive tackle here. They used their 2023 and 2024 first-round picks on Broderick Jones and Troy Fautanu. Utah offensive tackle Caleb Lomu, who went to the New England Patriots at 28, would have been a much better value pick. But there were better prospects on the board that could have filled other weaknesses in Pittsburgh, such as safety Dylan Thieneman, defensive end Keldrick Falk, or how about a wide receiver like Omar Cooper Jr. or Casey Concepcion? Greatest value pick, Francis Mauigoa. Many thought Mauigoa would go as high as number 3 overall to the Arizona Cardinals. What about the Cleveland Browns at number 6 before trading down with the Kansas City Chiefs? Or even the Washington Commanders at number 7. Well, fortunately for John Harbaugh's New York Giants, the team in front of them didn't value Mauigoa that high. After taking Ohio State linebacker Arvell Reese with the number 5 pick, the Giants put the cherry on top of their day 1 draft performance by snagging the Miami offensive lineman. Excellent value for the Giants. Mauigoa can play tackle or guard. Either way, Giants fans should be very thrilled about the prospect of him joining forces with Andrew Thomas, who has asserted himself as one of the league's premier pass blockers. Worst value pick, Jadarian Price. We hate critiquing the defending Super Bowl champions, especially given John Schneider's excellent drafting track record, but was this really the best they could do in the number 32 spot? Price was Jeremiah Love's understudy at Notre Dame. Despite playing second fiddle to the Heisman Trophy finalist, Price finished with 674 rushing yards and 11 touchdowns in 2025. We have no doubt that Price can succeed in Seattle's rush-heavy offense. And yes, running back was important to address after letting Super Bowl MVP Kenneth Walker III leave in free agency. agency. But who would have realistically taken Price in round 2? Maybe the Carolina Panthers at like 49 there? Maybe the Minnesota Vikings at 51? Seattle used its day 1 pick on a backup college running back when they already have a capable RB1 in Zach Charbonnet. Schneider could have probably traded down at least 10 spots, heck, maybe even more to snag Price. Even if he becomes a multi-time 1,000-yard rusher, that does not mean Seattle needed to take him this early. Greatest value pick, Cashius Howell. The 2025 SEC Defensive Player of the Year was supposed to be a mid to late round first pick, or at the very worst, a very early day 2 pick. Not much has gone right for the Cincinnati Bengals in their sad history, but man, they may soon owe 31 other teams a nice gift basket for letting Howell inexplicably slip to them in round 2 at number 41 overall. The Bengals got a lot of heat for letting Trey Hendrickson walk to free agency. Now, they have Howell, blockbuster trade acquisition Dexter Lawrence, and free agent signings Boye Mafe and Jonathan Allen to lead the front seven. In other words, yeah, I think they're going to be just fine without Hendrickson. We'll see how much the Bengals play Howell as a rookie, but don't be surprised if he goes down as the best value day 2 pick of this draft. Worst value pick, Keylan Rutledge. Nobody was surprised when the Houston Texans used their first round pick on an offensive lineman. The position had to be addressed, but did they ever misread the board here? Rutledge was not supposed to be a first round pick. Heck, some analysts and scouts had him going in the 3rd round. Yet, it didn't stop the Texans from wanting the Georgia Tech guard so badly to the point where they actually traded up 2 spots from the Buffalo Bills to take him at number 26. Don't get us wrong, Rutledge is a decent run blocker, but his pass blocking has a lot to be desired, and Houston needs better pass protection for CJ Stroud. Utah's Caleb Lomu, who went 2 picks later to the rival New England Patriots, would have been the ideal selection here. Reaching big time for a player is one thing. Actually trading up to get him though? Ooh, big yikes. Greatest value pick? CJ Allen. Some scouts thought Allen would go late in the 1st round, so yeah, it was a pretty big win for the Indianapolis Colts when the Georgia linebacker fell into their laps in round 2 at number 53 overall. The 2025 consensus All-American had 3.5 sacks, 8 tackles for a loss, and 4 pass breakups in his final college season. He joins a Colts front 7 already featuring DeForest Buckner and Leatu Latu. He is the perfect fit for Indy's defense and could be one of the final pieces needed to help them break through in a crowded AFC South. Worst value pick? Malachi Lawrence. As much as we love the work Jerry Jones has done when it comes to rebuilding his defense, we really don't get this pick. You will not find many NFL draft analysts who had Lawrence going in the 1st round, let alone in the top 25. After trading 3 spots down to help the rival Eagles take Makai Lemon, Dallas took UCF edge rusher Malachi Lawrence with the number 23 selection. Lawrence's production was good, but not great at UCF. He had 20 sacks over his 4 college seasons, but never topped 7.5 in a single campaign. With glaring holes in his run defense game, this just felt like a terrible value pick by Jones. Greatest value pick? Germod McCoy. McCoy was a consensus top 20 prospect entering the 2026 NFL Draft. His 2024 game type at Tennessee was an absolute sight to behold. Of course, McCoy unfortunately had to miss the entire 2025 season recovering from a torn ACL. It's understandable when injury concerns scare some teams off, but I mean, at worst, McCoy should have been at least like a late 1st or maybe early 2nd round pick. And yet, someone had to have the role of Shedeur Sanders this year, and that role ultimately fell to McCoy. The 2024 second-team All-American fell outside of the top 100 before the Las Vegas Raiders finally snagged him at number 101 overall. The Raiders actually traded up 1 spot to take McCoy there. Otherwise, who knows how much more he could have fallen. Anyway, the Raiders aren't complaining. They won the draft when they selected Indiana quarterback Fernando Mendoza with the number 1 pick. Then they get another first-round talent and round 4 of all places? Hey, even dysfunctional teams like the Raiders have to get lucky eventually. The Raiders have had troubles finding quality cornerbacks since Nnamdi Asomugha infamously left for the Philadelphia Eagles in 2011. Now, he joins a Max Crosby-led group that added Kwity Paye, Quay Walker, and Nakobe Dean in free agency. The Raiders aren't close to contending for the playoffs, but if McCoy stays healthy and hits its ceiling, well, he could give Vegas that pure shutdown corner that they need to combat Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, and Bo Nix in the AFC West. But what do you think was the worst value pick from the 2026 NFL Draft? Which one do you think was the greatest? Let us know in the comment section below. If you like this video and learned a thing or two, then hey, clicking the like button helps us out a ton. And you know, we really appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, then subscribing is a great idea, because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.